Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United, to episode 150. And thank you so much for joining us on this milestone episode. I know you're definitely not here for the preview and here to celebrate here with us. Well, my name's Kieran. I'm joined by Tom on this episode. Tom, quite a bit to talk about today.
Yeah, I should think so. It's a big game on Thursday against Bilbao. Very much looking forward to it. Although our previous track record against the Spanish side doesn't tell a particular great story, but putting that aside, none of that means anything. We're going into Bilbao aiming to get a positive result out of it to take back to Old Trafford the next week. And but yeah, it all rests on this. It really does.
Yeah, semi-finals. I mean, I spoke yesterday about, we've had some semi-final glories, some not so glorious. Hark back to the Champions League. I think the last time we were in a Champions League semi-final back in 2010-11, we managed to get through. Only to be beaten by Barcelona. But we don't have to talk about that. We don't have to talk about that at all. What we do have to talk about is how tough of a game that Athletic Club game is going to be in Bilbao. As you've already said, Tom, they're not opponents that we've done particularly well at in recent years. But a semi-final, two legs, anything could happen. It really could. But one thing that can't happen is what happened against Lyon. We're not going to get away with that again.
No, I think if we get a repeat of what we had against Lyon, I don't think it's going to be the same scenario where we score 3 goals in 8 minutes or whatever. So we've got to be sensible. We've got to be sensible with how we keep hold of the ball. And I was watching someone. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name, but he was sort of saying that the way United are going to need to get a positive result is just by keeping hold of the ball and making Bilbao work for it. If we really stick it on them, in the early stages, we're just going to end up having tired legs, and that's when Bilbao will strike. So I think going into the game tomorrow in Bilbao, it's going to be more about just keeping hold of the ball in the early stages and making Bilbao have to really fight for it, because we know how stubborn that defence is, and they usually are set up very, very well. I don't know how they got on at the weekend, because I didn't look at how they got on in La Liga, but I'd imagine, because they are 4th place at the moment in La Liga, are Bilbao. This is probably the best Bilbao I've seen since the last time we played them in 2012, because I think they finished. Did they finish in the top 4, in the top 5, or something like that? But they also made it to the Europa League final before losing to Atletico Madrid. It's going to be a hard game, Kieran. I can see it happening on Thursday, but we'll see.
Yeah, they managed to get past Rangers in that quarter-final. They managed to beat them 2-0 on aggregate. They had to do it at home to do it. It was only 2-0 over on aggregate, both goals coming in the return leg when Athletic Club hosted Rangers. Their last 2 league games, they've lost 1-0 to Real Madrid, not a bad result, especially at the Bernabeu, and a 1-0 victory against Las Palmas. So they come into the game in pretty good form. They 13th of April, they won against Rayo Vallecano 3-1. The last time they lost a game before the Real Madrid game, I'm just having a quick look back here, was the 1st of March against Atletico Madrid. So maybe we should host the game in Madrid. We might have more of a chance, but hey-ho, it is what it is. Hopefully what might be a boost is news that's coming out today from Manchester United website themselves, is that Ahmad and De Ligt back in full training, although Amarim has already tempered the flames by saying they're not going to start, but they are part of the matchday squad. And especially having Ahmad back up in there is going to be a massive boost. How much of a part he's going to play in the game, I don't know. But having him there, surely, if he's fit enough to start, say, 30 minutes, surely Amarim's going to throw him on.
Well, the question is, do you place him on the subs bench? Because I can't see him starting. If he does and gets some minutes, okay, great. Then we're seeing him coming back into full fitness. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if he gets some minutes in the game against Brentford on Sunday before the return leg. But we just need to make sure we don't risk too much with him. So how much do you have to play Ahmad to get him up to full fitness? That is the £1 million question. Because if there's one game we need him so much, it's either tomorrow or Thursday next week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I wonder if the league game in between, the Brentford game, which we'll talk on briefly in another part, whether he'll be used for that game as well. But you're absolutely right. The fitness of a player is so important, and Ahmad's been so integral to our season. We've missed him since the 3-0 win. The FA Cup win against Leicester. He's been injured since then, so we've missed him for a good chunk of time. It'll be great to have him back, but obviously we don't want to rush him back too much. We don't want to aggravate the injury. Interestingly, though, it's been reported that Obi is with the squad training in Bilbao, although he's ineligible, but surely he's getting some valuable experience being part of the first team and training with the first team.
And I should think so as well. I mean, if you can train with the first team more often, I can see him getting a start, because as much as Højlund's been dreadful this campaign, he's the only recognised striker we've got. So surely it would make more sense to start Cheetah Obi against Brentford, because he's not had a start yet, has Obi. So why not start him for the game against Brentford on Sunday? And then how about the rest of the team? How much do you play the likes of Fredriksson, Amas? I think Collier may still be injured at the moment, but it may be 50-50 with him. Yeah. I would be more tempted to try and start as many youngsters as possible for the Brentford game, but then you have to have a little bit of first team in there. But I think it all really rests on how we do against Brentford, against Bilbao tomorrow night, or Thursday, I should say. Yeah, it's a really tricky one, but I think irrespective of what we get out of tomorrow, it has to be a completely rotated squad on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's the only way we'll have a squad that's fit enough and hopefully at its strength to head to Old Trafford to try and get ourselves through into the final. And you're looking at the last 4 teams left in this Europa League. I mean, let's face it, you've got 2 English teams in there who have been dreadful this season. And if such the way that everything falls into line that both United and Spurs get to the final, it's either going to be the worst European final ever, or it's going to be one of the most hectic things no one will ever forget it, much like the Lyon game. I can't really decide. I don't think either side really deserved to make it to the Europa League final, but it might happen, and that's something we all have to be prepared for. But definitely United have got the tougher side. No disrespect to Bodo Glimt. They've done fantastic so far this campaign. It's the furthest I believe a Norwegian side has ever made it in any European club competition. So big congratulations to them. But they've got to face Tottenham, who have proven in Europe, much like United, they can be a tough nut to crack.
They can be a tough nut to crack. And Bodo Glimt, I have to give some praise to, because they've gone a lot further than they could have expected. And bearing in mind, their domestic league campaign, their window for it is different to how most of the other leagues are. So that it's very much a free hit for them, really, in regards to how they can go about qualifying even for the Champions League. I can't remember the last time a Norwegian side had qualified for the Champions League. It might have been Molde or Nordsjælland. Is it Nordsjælland? Because I think Nordsjælland are from Norway, aren't they?
I'm trying to think now. But yes, definitely Molde is probably looking at one of the last ones. I'm trying to think if Nordsjælland is Danish or if it's
Danish.
Norwegian.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
I was thinking like Nordsjælland, it sounds Norwegian, but look, we're only offending the Nordic community. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're not saying the language sounds the same at all. Speaking of Great Danes, Højlund picked up a goal in the last Premier League match. It was a vital equaliser against Bournemouth, against a soft red card, let's put it like that. A slip constitutes a red card. I'd be aggrieved if that had happened. In fact, Evan Nilsson's red card has since been rescinded, in fact, today. As we record this, it was announced today. What's the thinking? Obviously, he's going to start in the Europa League game. He's the only recognised striker, but I am hoping this is, we've said this before, I'll probably say it 100 times more. I hope this is turning the corner for Højlund, because some of his positioning is good, some of the service is questionable, but as a striker, you've got to, if you've only got 2 or 3 chances in a game, you've got to take at least one of them.
You would think so, but it's how much service is he going to provide? Because I was looking at stats about Garnacho's involvement in the game against Bournemouth, which has done a lot of talking. Because he had about 8 shots in the match, with only 1 being on target, the rest either being blocked or off target. So the fact that Garnacho is the one been doing the shots and Højlund hasn't been, but yet Højlund has got the goal, tells you about Garnacho's performances at the moment. He's too greedy. And his conversion rate has been really, really, really poor. It doesn't matter about which side of attacking midfield he's doing it on, because he played on the right-hand side of attacking midfield, which is what I demanded for that to be the case of. But even so, Garnacho's been exploiting that to his advantage, where he just can't put shots away whenever he keeps taking them. And if you know if you can't convert those shots into goals, then you need to provide the passes or key crosses or key passes over to someone like Rasmus Højlund, and you would think he's going to be the one putting them away. But I feel like I'm going off a little bit off topic here, but that is the emphasis of Man United's killer instincts up front, the lack of it.
Well, we'll talk more about that and including the preview of the Brentford game when we come back after this quick break.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Match day 35 in the Premier League. I know, it's almost over. We are limping across the line. We have, 4 games to go. Hang in there. One of them is Brentford coming up on Sunday, 2:00. Don't think you can watch it anywhere, but wink, nudge, nudge. Obviously, Brentford 11th, Manchester United 14th. I'm still waiting for United to reach that magical 40-point barrier. I have my doubts against the Brentford side that have been, in and out of form recently. I mean, they've just walloped Brighton 4-2 as well in quite a topsy-turvy game. How do you expect that sort of side to look in terms of Manchester United? Because we've talked already before, and you've already said the Europa League should be the priority. It is the main priority this season. So is it going to be a completely refreshed and rechanged squad in terms of prioritising youth?
You would think so. I would honestly start a number of the youth as possible, because we know we're not going down. And we're not going to be qualifying for Europe via a league position. So I would probably say you could throw a few senior players in there, but I want to see a lot of the youngsters get in there and get some minutes so that at least it can provide some options for Ruben Amorim for the summer and decide whether the players he's fielding could be potential picks for next season.
Yeah, it's almost like an experiment this latter half. You have it presented on a plate that you could now play the youth prospects and give them a chance. There's no better time. You've got nothing to play for in the league. Might as well go for it. I'm just looking at the reverse fixture and, how much has changed since then. Reverse fixture being 19th of October. Well, how time flies when you're not having fun. A 4-2-3-1 we were playing all the way back then. Johnny Evans was playing, starting. He's injured now. Rashford's still in the side. You had Højlund up top, who actually did get a goal in this game. Garnacho scored as well. I'm not even going to say a much different side. It's mostly the same players, but the system is vastly different from what it was.
It was. And I would probably say that United, are going to be a different... They're going to be a different team to what they had over in Brentford. But hopefully it's not going to be anything like the 4-0 thrashing a couple of seasons ago.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, well, that was only when Erik ten Hag came in and it was his second game. Before he put on that run of form afterwards. I think it feels like a dead rubber of a game for Manchester United on Sunday against Brentford. I'm not expecting fireworks, but what I want to see is brilliant build-up play involving the youth and just give a little bit more of a different dynamic for Ruben Amorim. And then there's not many of them that are in that registered squad for the Europa League anyway. I don't know. I think what we do against Bilbao will be irrelevant for Sunday and even the remainder of the games, because we've got Brentford, and who have we got in our remaining games? Because I know we play Aston Villa
We
on the
played
final.
Chelsea, I think.
Yeah, Chelsea on the penultimate weekend, and then who's the other one? West Ham. West Ham at home. Yeah, because I know that West Ham are the last team this season that could complete a league double over us.
That's terrible.
I know.
That's terrible. That is terrible. I mean, the only good news I can really come up with is we could rise as high as 13th with a win against Brentford, although we could fall as low as 16th. You know, that's really.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason we can't fall to 17th is because Tottenham and West Ham play each other this game week. So that's the only reason we can't fall as low as 17th. Whether you consider that a blessing, I certainly do. But what are you expecting from the game, Tom? How do you sort of see it going? And give us some sort of a prediction for scoreline, if you dare.
Is this for the Brentford one?
This is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk me through it.
I mean, to be fair, it's Brentford away, isn't it? Because we played them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably see a similar performance to what we had against Bournemouth, in all honesty. So I'd probably go for a 1-1 draw. But I think it's going to be a really, really drab game, I think.
Yeah. Thomas Frank is a manager that lives rent-free in my head, and I will absolutely admit that to everybody. I can see Brentford being a tough place to be. You know, the Brentford Community Stadium, great stadium. Been there to watch a women's World Cup game. I want to say might have been the Euros actually, but it's a great stadium. And I think it's going to be tough. I really do. It all depends really morale-wise how it goes against Athletic Club. And I have to say, I think a draw is optimistic. I really do. If Amram is going to change up the system like we think he's going to, and prioritise the youth, it's going to be a tough game because Brentford are going to be playing a full-strength side. You know, they're still going to approach this game as any other. They're not going to, put some rotation of squad players in. They can not rise any higher than what they are right now. They could drop a couple of places if results go there against them. But they're 11th right now. They're trying to push for a place in the top 10. I don't see them rotating as heavily as United will. I could see Brentford sneaking a result here. I say sneaking. It'll probably be a deserved result.
Well, I was thinking of going for a Brentford win as well, but it's not going to be a convincing one.
No, well, I think it is going to be a convincing one because I think Brentford, 4 goals against Brighton it's not an easy feat to do at the best of times. Yeah, Brighton have had some haywire scorelines so far this season. So have many other of the Premier League teams. You think Nottingham Forest lost, was it 5-0 to Brighton, wasn't it? They lost this season? Am I right in thinking that?
No, I think it was Forest, wasn't it?
Forest lost to? They lost to a team 5-0 this season. I'm sure they did. I can't remember which team it was.
I'm just looking through the results of Brentford.
I'm talking about Forest lost.
Oh, Forest lost. Yeah, Forest lost, I think, 5-0 to Bournemouth. I think it was Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, was it?
Yeah, okay. It was 5-0 to Bournemouth that Forest lost to, but then Forest won 7-0 against Brighton.
That was it, yeah. It's just freaked results like that. It's just made this Premier League this season so unpredictable. If only Liverpool weren't so good this season, it would have been just one of the craziest Premier Leagues we'd ever seen. But hey-ho, I'm going to be the pessimist in this one. I think it's going to be a Brentford win, but we shall see. Going to go 2-1 Brentford, sadly. But there we go. Are you sticking with a draw, Tom, or are you going to join me on the pessimism side?
Well, I thought Bournemouth were going to come away with all 3 points against us last weekend, but we somehow got a 96th minute equaliser through the unlikeliest of sources of Rasmus Højlund. Yeah, I'm going to stick with a 1-1 draw.
Fair enough. Right, let's see then. In our next part, we'll have a preview of the Europa League Semi-Final first leg against Athletic Club and a predicted 11. Join us after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell more about your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
It's going to be a tough one. It's, I believe, 4th versus 14th in their respective leagues, and we have to go to Bilbao if we want to go and get a result on TNT Sports 1 HD. Yes, we are somehow on TNT Sports 1, but there you go. UEFA rankings separate these sides. Apparently, Manchester United are ranked 12th, whilst Athletic Club are ranked 75th. The league tables could not show that more differently and could not show the opposite more clearly. Very few injury concerns for Athletic Club going into this game, quite a few for Manchester United. But I want to start, before we get into our predicted 11, how do you think the game is going to go, Tom?
I can see it be a possession-based type of football. I think United will keep hold of the ball for as much as they can, and so they should, because they won't want to go all out. I think if they try to do a counter-attack on this Bilbao side, I don't think it will work. So I think it's going to come down to how the set pieces for us will go. If we nail our set pieces, we'll really turn it on them, I think. That is what I think will be the emphasis. And for someone like Lenny Yoro, from what we saw in the game against Lyon away, I think he's going to play a pivotal role in how we get through 90 minutes in the first leg.
Yeah, and just looking back at their previous couple of games, I mean, obviously under siege would be the term to use at the Bernabeu, and they came away with a 1-0 loss, not too bad. They come against Las Palmas at home, evens in possession, but yeah, Athletic Club making the better chances over the game. So it's kind of a, Athletic Club seem as comfortable on the ball as off it. Only losing to 1-0 to Real Madrid, especially when you're fighting for a place in Europe in the Liga, it's not a bad result at all, especially because it's Real Madrid. And I think that sort of resilience from Bilbao will be our undoing if we're not careful. So let's have a look at our predicted 11 then. Just a quick word on Dalot. He is out with a calf injury and may not be available for selection. Easy for me to say. He could be fit for the return leg, but it's still a doubt either way. With that in mind then, Tom, let's have a look at the squad then. Let's start with the 3 centre-backs. What are we thinking?
I think it's going to be De Ligt, Maguire and Yoro. Those are the 3 I would probably throw in there.
Yeah, I agree if De Ligt is fit to start the match. If he's not, I think Lindelof starts in his place. But I think that's pretty much the back 3 we're expecting. Obviously, we've skipped past Onana because I think we're both in agreement that Onana's starting. I like we got through that nice and quickly. That's 4 players down, the rest to go. Let's have a look at wing-backs then. Dalot, who's been, I thought he's come into a decent bit of form recently down that right-hand side. Now he's got injured. I'm expecting Mazraoui to start on that right-hand side and Dorgu on the left. If Dalot was fit, Mazraoui would be on the right-hand side of the centre-back. I was going to say partnership, but the trio, you could call them. Do you see it the same way?
Yes, I do. Yeah, although Dorgu struggled at the weekend because he softly gave the ball away for Bournemouth's goal in the first half. But bearing in mind, we've still got Luke Shaw as well, but I would still start Dorgu and maybe bring Luke Shaw on in the second half.
Hopefully he doesn't give away another penalty. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Holding midfield then. This is probably going to be not an easy one, but I think this is where the variance could start to show. I think Agate and Fernandes, I think, there, because I'm thinking of pushing someone a little bit further up. I've always preferred, in this system, Fernandes playing a little bit deeper. And I feel like in a game like this, where if we're talking about possession, it's all going to be possessing it in the midfield and doing good things with the ball. And I think if you drop Fernandes a bit deeper, so he's a bit more involved in that midfield battle, he's able to unlock the passes. He's able to find those players. And hopefully if he has a fantastic game, he'll do just that. Alongside Ugarte, who I consider a bit of a destroyer, he's been quite okay this season. I think that would be a good partnership for that midfield. But what's your thinking, Tom?
I think it would be Casemiro and Ugarte in the CDMs. Okay. Kieran, I think I would probably stick Bruno in his usual position, but I think Casemiro and Ugarte are 2 which I would feel more comfortable to be starting in that. I do agree that Fernandes will probably play in that role at some point in the match, but to begin with, I would say stick Casemiro and Ugarte in there.
Casemiro's had a bit of found a bit of form recently as well, I think. So I think we have to give him props for that as well, showing snippets and previews of what was a world class player, and obviously now not so much, but still flashes are there. Now when I get to attacking midfield, I was thinking of putting Mainu up there. Now, this is all dependent on how fit he actually is. He's been making sub appearances and whatnot, but if he's fit, why not playing alongside Garnacho? He was, when he came on against Lyon, he was a game changer at that point.
He was.
Got us the goal. He's a fantastic player. We should be using him, and as a creative player, as a finisher, it makes sense to start him further up the pitch.
I'd agree with that. And I'm going to put Fernandes alongside him. I think those two would be excellent in the cams, which is very unexpected, really, of Mainu being in that position. But because he's been deadly in that, playing there from what we saw when he came as a sub against Lyon in the second leg, I would want to see more of that from when he starts. So I would probably put Mainu alongside Fernandes in the attacking midfield. I think we're probably going to agree what we're going to put on number 9, aren't we?
We've only got one choice, so I think let's say it in unison, I guess.
Hoyland, yes.
Yay, there you go. I think that's the quickest predicted 11 we've ever gone through, to be honest with you. I think because we're so short on players, it kind of has it. I think the only differences were if De Ligt is fit, he's starting for you. I think Lindelof is starting, and we have some differences in the midfield. Other than that, it's pretty much what we're expecting. So the only thing that's left, Tom, is the dreaded score prediction. What do you think is going to happen? How is it going to end after 90 minutes in Bilbao?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's a score draw or a scoreless draw because away goals don't count. But I think it will be a draw. I think if we come away, do I risk a 0-0?
Oh, does he? Do you, Tom? Do you? Do I give you a little nudge in that direction?
I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Ah, boo.
Yeah.
Boo. I wasn't going to go 0-0 anyway, so it's fine. I was thinking 2-2. I think, there's something about United in the Europa League that just somehow they score more goals and somehow get more confidence. But at the same time, I think they can leave themselves a little bit open. We saw that against Lyon. I think 2-2. If a draw happens away from home, that's not a bad result at all. Let's put it that way. Even a slender loss is not the end of the world. But the better position we can put ourselves in Bilbao, hopefully the better time we'll have at Old Trafford. Then again, we did say that against Lyon. We blew a 2-0 lead very, very much, very easily when we went to Old Trafford. Nevertheless, we have our score prediction in for 2 score predictions as well. Don't forget the Brentford game, which we're less optimistic about. But what do you think? Let us know on all the social medias. We're at GSPN on Twitter and X. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook and we're on TikTok as well. Let us know your score predictions for the match. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, don't forget you can now watch our podcasts on our YouTube channel. It's at GSPN Daily Manchester United Podcast. It's so long, so you have to remember it. That's the difference. Thank you so much for joining me, Tom. I'm hoping and maybe probably going to cower behind the sofa to watch these 2 games.
Yeah, well, I think tomorrow's game most certainly. Even though I think Sunday's game isn't exactly televised, is it? So, but best of luck to us tomorrow. If we can come away with a strong performance, if we can align that performance with a good result, even if it's a draw, then I'll happily take that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're listening to this, don't forget it's tonight, 8:00 on TNT Sports 1 if you are watching in the UK. And let's hope, get behind the Red Devils for a push, hopefully, towards that Europa League title. In the meantime, have a great rest of your Thursday. Let's get up for the match and hopefully we'll have a podcast for you right after match as a reaction. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.